Good morning, guys. Thanks for joining me today. This is Brad. Hey, in this video, this is going to be part two of my three-part series on tips for social media. And I'm going to talk about 6 points for creating success on social media. But I want to give a hats off again to the Teachable Summit last week. Instagram story sales by Dot Long. She was great specifically to Instagram, but she said a lot of things that got me thinking. Her DRAGON acronym about dialogue, relatability, authenticity, giving value, opinion, and then niche. I wanted to expand on it because I thought these are just great talking points about how to be successful on almost any social media platform, not just Instagram, which she was on specifically, but this is so important. And I'd say that I'm going to presume that you want to grow your presence and effectiveness on social media. You know, I'm relatively new, about a year and a half into this. I don't do a lot fancy, but I've learned some tips. I've learned how to be effective. I think how to create engagement. So I wanted to talk about that. You know, she talked about number one, the D is for dialogue. Social media creates dialogue. Okay. And we want to look at, you know, what problems are you trying to solve? You know, create dialogue to position yourself as an expert. Okay. So social media, really just a textbook definition, it's interactive computer mediated technologies that facilitate the creation of sharing of information, okay, ideas, career interests, et cetera, and other forms of expression via virtual communities and networks, right? We've got our, you know, YouTube where this is posted, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, which I'm using, Snapchat, et cetera. So, but it's really about, again, creating dialogue. And if you're going to using this for business purposes, to position yourself as the expert, but you got to start a dialogue on that. And she recommended taking, you know, listing 30 pain points, do this as an exercise. Pain points are problems, and you could segment them into maybe 3 to 4 categories. But what problems or pain points do people have where you can provide a solution to their problem? And again, this all gets back to dialogue to kick it off. Okay. And then the R stands for relatability. Okay. The most successful brands on social media do several things right, or rather actually differently. You know, everyone who succeeds traces their unique path, right? You've got to create relatable content. You've got to make people feel an emotion, right? And use storytelling. You know, they all have something in common though. They are memorable. And it's probably we're talking storytelling here. The reasons will vary, but you know, some people got a great sense of humor, right? Others provide exemplary customer service, let's say. While some people post really impressive content, you know, they're whizzes at video editing, all that stuff. But memorable can mean different things to different people, of course. But a business / brand, your brand in this case, can't hope to be at the top of the target market that you're trying to reach unless you've created something that's distinct in this space. And she goes, again, that's why you want to make people feel an emotion and use storytelling. You know, winning brands are personable and relatable. This is kind of the key point here. They ooze personality, okay, and they don't shy away from speaking their mind, okay? So how does this all come together to create an impressive social presence? That might be the question you want to ask. But here's an observation to get you started on this point. Your personality is your X factor. Okay. There's always a fear of a brand's voice, in this case, your voice or my voice, drowning out all in the din and cacophony of social media, right? We call it noise. There's a lot of noise out there. So the competition is fierce, and these platforms are fast moving space. Stuff doesn't stay there forever. People kind of keep moving on, right? You know, tweets are easy to miss. You're on Twitter, and Facebook updates vie for attention with posts from family and friends whose statuses, you know, are intrinsically more interesting to users. And I would debate that point to some point. Okay. The other one is, and this is a big one for me, the A for authenticity. You know, part of my core values are authenticity, integrity, and leadership. And I picked on authenticity for the reason that that's important to me, being authentic, being real. You know, what is authenticity on social media? Okay, she talked about your vibe attracts your tribe. And I think that's, from her experience, that's pretty much right on. Your vibe attracts your tribe. When you show up as yourself, okay, and that's being authentic, you eliminate the competition. Think about that. I want to say that again. When you show up as yourself, you eliminate the competition. Okay, that's powerful. So you got to demonstrate authenticity on social media. It's really pretty simple in theory. It's about showing the real side of your I'll say your personality, your personal brand, or your business to your followers. The hard part is really how do you do that? Far from just being another buzzword, and it kind of has gotten to be that authenticity in social media, at least as I understand it, represents a rejection of the fake and deceptive qualities that have tended to, I think, define social media marketing for the last few years. I'm a big believer, if you use social media properly in business, it's a great tool. It's an awesome tool, the amount of people you can reach even globally. But if it's just something you're dabbling in, and I say, you just use passing on memes, gifts, stuff like that, I don't know that it's going to be all that benefit for you. But if you're using it again for business purposes, I think it's an invaluable resource. In fact, Gary Vaynerchuk, I'll repeat something he says: if you're not on social media, you are irrelevant. Okay. So according to Marketing Trend Forecast, just to give a little bit of background here, the days of perfectly curated content are over. And I just say, be real. That's what I'm doing right here now. Nothing fancy, my home office polo shirt on. Instead, it's all now about capturing and embracing authentic everyday moments in the form of photos and videos. Videos get more reach. They're more interactive, that your followers can quickly react to. Think of Instagram stories. That's what Dot Long was talking about. Okay. So the shift towards authentic marketing also represents an emerging trend, in which consumers are really choosing to buy from, I'll just say, from individuals, brands, companies that share their moral, social, and political beliefs. So authenticity is a big one. It's not just a buzzword. I think it can be overused, but if I like people that are authentic, right? And that's probably one thing I like about Gary Vaynerchuk. The guy's real. He uses the F word quite a bit. That's just part of him, but he's real. He's authentic, and it attracts me to what he's talking about. The next one, number 4, is giving value. So the G of dragon, and I just equate that with your why. Okay. She recommended, I think these are great points: out teach your competition, give value, gain influence, and get attention. Okay. Your brand should be about the problem that you solve or that I solve. So how can you make people's lives better? Well, it all goes to giving value. And I could do a whole video on this. I think it's that important. But just some tips on how to give value. Really, you got to focus on others. It's not about selling. That's probably the cardinal sin of social media, is people reach out or they connect with you, and next thing you know, they're sending you a solicitation or trying to sell you something. But how do you give value? Well, you could be inspirational. Share a book. I did a series on John Maxwell's 21 indispensable qualities of a leader. Ask questions. That's probably a big one. I'm going to say it again. Ask questions, pose questions to create engagement. Make suggestions to people. People like to have things suggested, not told what to do, but suggested. Show what's behind the scenes in your life, in your business. It goes back up to being authentic, doesn't it? And lastly, solve problems for your customer, right? And as she said, it's give, give, give. And I think on social media, we want to give to get, but it's give, give, give. Give you your time, give you your expertise, give you your tips. And one of my favorites here, jab, 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 right hook, Gary Vaynerchuk. And I'm just going to do a quick screen share here for you, because I think if you're getting into this, if you haven't read this book, I think it came out in 2009, but this is spot on. This is one of the first books I read. I still reference it a lot because it's about, jab, 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 and then right hook. So most people on social media are trying to go for the right hook right away. It doesn't work, but how to tell your story in a noisy social world. So if you haven't read this, I highly recommend it. I think it's still very valuable with the content and the tips on how you can be successful. And what we're talking about here, adding value. Okay. So enough said there. So opinions, boy, we could say a lot about this, right? You kind of sharing the good, the bad, and the ugly. But sharing controversial opinions on social media opens the door to a heated debate, right? If you start doing that, you're going to probably get some debate. Sharing really depends on your willingness to feel the heat and to pay the price. And as a general rule, because most of what I do on social media is about business, I stay away from the political content and the religious content, even though I'm a Christian, because I don't think social media is a great place, a great platform, honestly, to talk about those, because they do tend to be controversial, right? There's a time and place for it. If I had my own blog, page for it, yeah, that's one thing. But you got to be careful what topics you step into and controversy. So with this being said, here's the plus side to it. Posting your opinion on social media reaches a wider audience than you might believe. Okay. So once people are interested in hearing about a story, it's easy to type in keywords in the search bar with posts relating to that story. That's why you want to use hashtag with keywords that relates to the post you're making too. It's another tip. And that's why it's important for people to have a voice on social media, because your post could reach people that you may not even know. Especially with a global reach, you might reach people around the world. You know, Facebook, again, it's got a share button. Twitter's got having a retweet button. Your post could easily reach different languages, and I'll just say around the world, and backgrounds in, you know, say the snap of a finger, right? In addition to this, many of us go through our lives kind of scrolling through articles and posts, reading about subjects and topics in which we don't have any formal standpoint on the issue. You know, so you're looking for something in particular, but by posting your opinion on social media, keep in mind you may be able to sway a neutral reader's opinion on the issue and give them insight on why you believe in a certain way. And I'm going to qualify it by saying this again: it's by all the above, being authentic and creating value. If you're just out there to diss or dump your opinion, you're just going to get a lot of rocks thrown back at you. So there is a way to do this, but again, you have to be authentic and you have to add value so that people will listen to you. It's called creating engagement. I even say, even stepping further back, creating rapport, so that people, because you're on social media, I don't know who you are from the other 7 billion people in the world. So if you have an opinion about something and I don't agree with it, you're probably not really going to go too far in persuading me. So enough said about that. Niche. Last one here, the N of dragon. You've got to know who you're talking to, right? And one of the most important parts of increasing your social media presence is identifying who your audience is. We, as part of our business, are using not only a software developer, but a digital marketing specialist. So your efforts and your content need to be geared toward people who may be interested in your brand, what you offer, your advice, whatever it may be. And it's important to be specific without limiting yourself to potential markets. Again, we have a global business, so we can scale it globally and potentially have 7 billion people that we can reach. Yours may not be that big. So you got to start by analyzing your current and past audiences. Take some time. This is getting a little bit of maybe a deep dive here, but you can measure this by assessing the backgrounds of your network, your followers, your customers, looking at some of the metrics. So you can start pinpointing your target audience. You can consider the age, the gender, the geographic location of individuals. And Facebook, I know for sure Twitter and Instagram allow you to consider even more factors when determining who you wish to advertise contents for. When you get into Facebook ads, we are hiring a digital marketing specialist in our business to help us with that, but you can target down who you're looking for so you're not wasting time or money reaching people that aren't interested in your message. So niche building. Okay, so more tips on this. I'll attach a link to an article on 16 tips to boost your social media presence. I think you might find that helpful. Just some general stuff. There's some links in that article too. And I really, truly hope that this has provided some value for you and really provided you an outline for being more successful in your social media interactions. And also, I want to just say this. I want to ask you to subscribe to my channel by hitting the subscribe button. If you found this value, you can certainly stay tuned for my third video, which I'll be doing some tips on insights on doing video. And I always do Monday morning leadership, so you're welcome to tune into that. And with that being said, again, since this is, as social media is about creating dialogue, please feel free to reach out to me and connect with me on my social media links provided. Guys, have an awesome day. Thanks so much for joining me. Bye-bye.